Welcome, everyone, to the third community call of 2026. I am Sudo, your host for today, and this time you won't have to listen to me blabber for the whole 1 hour because I have my first guest this year on, which is super duper exciting, especially the context in which I have this guest on. So maybe let's start with introducing my dear guest here, who's Josh from Keplr. How is it going, Josh?
It's going great. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here and get to chat in from the Nym community. My name is Josh Lee. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Keplr Wallet. I've been building various kind of blockchain and crypto products, sort of specifically in the Cosmos and multi-chain space in the past 6-ish years. And yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
It is an absolute pleasure to have you on. I can't wait to dive into a bit of history and lore around Keplr and also some of the newest products you guys are pushing out. Let me do my quick intro. Welcome everyone. Good to have you here. Hopefully you're enjoying my background, which was provided by a community member as always. So if you want to select my background for the next call, then make sure to go to the Nym forum and join the thread where the community call is being discussed. You can also share, input for topic suggestions, also segment suggestions, whatever it may be. Today, of course, as I have a guest, it's going to be a special call because most of it is going to be a conversation between Josh and myself. On the heels of the recently announced integration of the Nym token in the Keplr wallet. Now, also, if you are new here and maybe you're not subscribed to NymVPN yet and you want to see what it's all about, keep an eye on chat, both on Twitter, which is now enabled, and also here on YouTube or Twitch, wherever you're watching. We're going to be dropping NymVPN free passes. So the first one who clicks can activate an NymVPN free pass, which will last you for 1 month. You can try all of the features of NymVPN. Be fast and click as soon as you can. As usual, we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end, so make sure to share your questions in the chat, both for me and also especially for Josh. We're going to have a convo for about half an hour, and then we're going to do a Q&A, and then we're going to jump into the usual games. All right, so now that we're done with the intro, welcome again to the call, Josh. It's awesome to have you here. So this call is coming on the heels of, again, something that I'm personally very excited about. I'm a big fan of Keplr, and finally the Nym token is properly and officially supported in there. So that's huge news. Now I will mention that already you could see Keplr popping up in the Nym ecosystem. So you could and still can stake your Nym tokens with the Keplr integration from the Nym Explorer. Maybe Salazar can be kind and find a link to the Explorer. So if you want to stake your Nym straight from the Nym Explorer, you can do so with the Keplr integration. So maybe if you're new and you don't know what Keplr is about and you've never seen it in action, then you can immediately try it there. So let's talk about Keplr. Maybe let's assume that some people in the audience have never heard about it. What is Keplr, and what sets it apart from the rest of the wallets out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Keplr is one of the first multi-chain wallets out there. So we've been building a crypto wallet since 2020, and our focus has always been sort of two things. One is building for the idea of app chains, and this means hey, traditionally you've sort of had this ethos of, hey, when you want to build an application, you go to someone's platform and you build a smart contract on top of it. On the other hand, I think we felt like, in a world where a lot of new applications run on blockchain, there's a lot of value to applications sort of owning their own chain. And a great example of this is the Nym chain as well, right? It's a very cool example of a very specific use case of a VPN leveraging an app chain ecosystem. And our vision at the time, starting out, was, hey, in the world where there's a lot of applications running their own app chains, you're going to have to work with a multi-chain ecosystem, which just means there's just going to be a lot of these things. And today, that's absolutely true. So, what's Keplr role in all of this is we basically let you access all of these applications, manage all of your assets and tokens, without having to kind of switch back and forth between a million different wallets and services. So yeah.
Yeah, interoperability is a big thing, and I have to applaud Keplr for making it happen. I think you guys are absolutely one of the pioneers in not only just within the Cosmos ecosystem, which we'll talk about in a bit, but also across multiple chains. So the crypto space tends to be a bit fragmented, and any effort to bring that together in like one coherent whole is absolutely applauded. So on that note, actually, what how many chains do you guys support? Do you know?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, it continues to increase, I think, every other week, but I think we're roughly at around like 30-ish, I think 20, 30-ish is that number. So
Excellent. So yeah, so you can actually use not just it's important because I think your roots are firmly in the Cosmos ecosystem, right?
yes, but we've also been, supporting a lot of expanding outside of Cosmos as well. So, Ethereum, Base, Polygon, all of the EVM ecosystem as well. We also have very native support for Bitcoin. So it's one of the few wallets where you can just store native Bitcoin there. We also support Starknet, who is the pioneer for, ZK and Cairo language. A lot of kind of new innovations coming out of their ecosystem as well. And soon, hopefully, I don't know if I've mentioned this publicly anywhere yet, but there will be an SVM support for Keplr as well coming up very soon. I think in a few months. So yeah, I think we'll basically have all of your 99% of what you would need covered by the end of this year.
That's awesome. We're only 8 minutes in, and you already dropped some alpha on us. So
Yeah,
very good guest. I rate you a 10 already.
yeah.
Excellent. My next question is a bit about the history because you've been involved, like obviously since the get go with the Keplr wallet, and I think it's fair to say, at the very least, most people see Keplr as the undisputed OG of the Cosmos ecosystem, the Cosmos wallet, basically. And if you look back at all of these, I think you said 7 years or so. What are the decisions that matter the most in making this the case, in making Keplr such a big player in crypto and also in Cosmos?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think I'll have to think about this for a little bit because um, yeah, what were the decisions that I made? Mm. I think one part was just sort of there were definitely parts of the crypto cycle where there was just sort of mass irrationality going on where people were like, like believing something was revolutionary, and deep in your heart, you're like, is this really, is this it really? Like, or you're not sure. And I was just like, okay, it's like everyone else around me seems like they're really bought in, but I felt like that wasn't the case. And um, like that's one part, like just being able to sort of be rooted in what you believe and your gut feeling, believing that. Um, that saved us from, a catastrophe. I'm sure a lot of people here may or may not know, but the whole catastrophic failure of the Terra ecosystem, and having all of your, we've seen teams basically have all of their assets in Anchor, and lose a lot of their money. And for us, we've always just been a little bit more skeptical around that. So that it's just as a one great example, but I think there's also just been a lot of kind of other decisions sort of similar to that where we're like, okay, this feels like it's a consensus, but doesn't feel right, and just sort of go have to believe in that. The second part of that, I think, related to the first one is, there are times when you do change your mind. You talk to people and you get convinced, and um, not being too judgmental of pasts, and being open to changing your mind while sort of believing in your gut feeling at the same time. I think just the right balance of the two has been very critical for us to um, be very thesis driven, but at the same time still be open to change, and being flexible on what we build and how we build it.
Yeah, that's an excellent like principle to have. Let me also throw something at you, which I personally think, obviously, I'm putting words in your mouth, but what I personally think uh, probably made Keplr what it is, and what I've been going on and on about on these calls and in private conversations, which is the question of UX, right? Uh, whether we're talking about, in our case, the privacy space, or we're talking about the crypto space, the players that we're up against, the competitors that we have,
Mhm.
are many multi-trillion-dollar companies in a lot of cases, and they have UX logged in, right? They are just they have a huge head start in this, and up until fairly recently, I think crypto did not really have the blueprint or get the blueprint of this quite enough. But now there are some really big strides, I think, in the UX accessibility department. When really, really everything is to the highest possible UX standards. When you have all the complexity you need, in the case of Keplr, for example, but it's also simple enough for a newbie to get started with it. I think Keplr really nailed this balance, and for me, this is one of the things that I think. Now we're kind of getting the memo in this space, but it took a while for us to get the memo. And
Mhm.
partially on this note, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about or talk with you about was Oko. So you, in your own words, it's the product to kill your own product.
Mhm.
Why did you guys create Oko, and what is it?
Yeah. What is Oko? Oko is a way for you to create a crypto wallet by using social logins. And one caveat here is we already allow users to onboard into Keplr just using their Google account already. But I think the key difference here is in the case of Oko, we work with various applications and web apps to integrate this wallet sign-in process in the background within the web app that you don't even have to install Keplr, right? Uh, so yeah, that's sort of Oko in a nutshell. And the reason why I said, hey, this is a product that kills our own product is we've been building this mobile wallet extension wallet for the past 5-6 years. But even while we were building this, we knew there were sort of limitations and challenges for users to be able to onboard with this, right? There's a lot of kind of new ideas, new concepts. It's a lot of things to just do before you're even getting started. And a lot of times, when you're looking at something, it's like, oh, I want to get started. Every single step that gets added on there, just that's 10% off your enthusiasm, and another 10%, and another 10%. So you're just like, by the time you're getting started, you're already too exhausted to really try anything else, right? So Oko was sort of that direction, and you know we're not the first movers here. We stand next to giants like Privy and Dynamic, Web3 Auth, and things like that. I think one thing that it does make Oko very different is the idea of a global wallet. So uh, one of the key benefits or the wow factor that I had when I got into crypto was this idea of you're no longer signing up to services like you create a Gmail account and then you create an Apple account and an X account and whatever account. And it's every single service you want to use, you have to sign up and you have to give them your personal information, email address, et cetera. And for me, the idea that services connect to my wallet was just sort of mind blowing. And I was like, oh wow, like this is so much easier. This is so much more convenient. And anytime there's a payment attached, I don't have to put in my credit card every single time. I just have to click pay and it's just done, right? And so this felt like, okay, this is one of those UX things where yes, the onboarding is very challenging, but once you get past it, right, it's like the usability of that part is actually much better than the status quo. So uh, that was really cool for me. But one of those things that didn't quite make sense when I first tried out some of the embedded wallet solutions out there was when you log in, with the social login, you get a wallet, but your wallet is different for every service, and for me that just felt so frustrating. So um, you know, it's like, oh, I just logged in, and because it's a new wallet, I have to go fund it from this other wallet, and that felt like, okay, you're solving one problem, but you're also creating some of the other ones. So there's a trade off there, and for us, we wanted to make sure that we maintain this idea of global wallets. And the second part of this is we decided internally, it's like, hey. we should open source this. There's a lot of embedded wallet solutions out there, but none of them are fully open source or even have their source code available. So for us, you can go to our GitHub and check out every single line of the code. You can fork it, run your own embedded wallet service as well. So we're very proudly open sourcing our embedded wallet solution. And hopefully, it's a very kind of slow 0 to 1 because global wallets require embedded wallets require apps to sort of integrate. But we're taking things one step at a time, and we hope that there's a network effect around, hey, Nym integrates this, Civicia integrates this other app integrates this, and eventually, the fact that you're able to use the same wallet across all of these apps, and the onboarding is very easy, sort of clicks. So we're working very hard towards that right now.
Exactly. As you were talking, I already put in my notes that you may be short selling or underselling because you didn't mention the fact that it's open source and self-hostable, which I think are absolutely huge. Do you mind sharing a few thoughts around this, like why you made this decision? Because it's something that we applaud here at Nym. Obviously, all of our stuff is also open source. We believe in the free and open source movement. Why did you guys make this choice?
Yeah. So it's just been a big part of what Keplr is from the very beginning. Even Keplr extension is still to this day open source. So we're from day one, it was licensed. I think it was under Apache or MIT. So very permissive, not even GPL, open source license that allows anyone to just fork our code, start their own wallet. Because we're like, hey, this is, we really needed to get started and we wanted people to use this. And if that means, hey, they want to change things, they can. So that's the first part. The second part, which I think is more important, is this idea of like we're building. Why are we here building? And it's one, because we want to build something that is trustless, and two, if you want to build something trustless, you also want to build something that's verifiable. And for you to be able to build something that's trustless and verifiable, you need access to the open code. So at the very least, um, you can run it. You can verify that what we're publishing is actually correct, and you're not. It's like, hey, if you see an issue, it's like it's out there in the open, and you can verify that like something is not right. So I think one of the big things and one of the big joys that I get is knowing that hopefully I'll build something that outlives ourselves. So I think that's sort of the beauty of like building in an open source project is there is this product and this software that sort of can live on even if you don't continue to while we're continuing to build this, even if we decided not to, there is this way where someone else can pick up the flag and continue on, and that just felt very meaningful for me.
Exactly, and I deeply agree that verifiability and trustlessness kind of can't exist with each other without each other. So that's a very good point. Very, very happy to see it. And my next question is a privacy related one because obviously you guys run your own infra, right? Keplr runs infrastructure, and on the heels of Infura, changing their end user license agreement and starting to collect end user IP addresses, it's easy to see how fragile the very important pseudonymity of the crypto space can be. Obviously, if you have a pseudonymous wallet address on a chain, and then you go ahead and tie that to an IP address, that's a big no-no. Especially if you take all your addresses, right, your various addresses that you're using for different applications or purposes, and you tie all of them together to a single IP address, right? So I just wanted to ask you, since I know our community cares about this, as Keplr also runs its own infra, like, do you do anything on the RPC side, to guarantee user privacy? Do you collect IP addresses? What's your stance on this in general?
Yeah. So right now, very happy to be transparent on this. Is we do collect some, identifiable information. It's not, one of the things that we would never collect is like a wallet address. Like we do not need to know a wallet address. I feel like that's going way too far. That doesn't help our goal. So one of those metrics that we're always estimating is like how much money are people, using Keplr to like say, it's like how much money is being accessed, custody through Keplr. we can't know because we don't collect that information. We do collect some basic information like, hey, what country is this user coming from? What types of like websites are they using? But we're hoping that hey, this is sort of anonymized enough that what we're trying to get out of here is how can we build a better product, but at the same time, if you don't like it, once again, completely open source, you can also modify all of the RPC settings and change that. So, we're not really collecting any identifiable information here outside of just basic analytics. And even if you don't like it, I think there's a very easy way to opt out. But yeah, we're not here to sort of hide that at all. So yeah.
Excellent. No, and really the fact that that everything is open source and verifiable just puts like a whole additional layer of credibility to that. So that's reassuring. Thanks for the answer. Now, before we jump into the community questions, we got a whole bunch of them. I wanted to close with something that looks into the future and hopefully that something that prompts you to drop some more alpha on us. So in closing, for when you look at Keplr, maybe even Osmosis, something we haven't talked about, maybe I'll have you back at some point to talk about Osmosis, which is also something that is very close to my heart. But when we look at Keplr and Oko, what does the future hold for us, guys? I will start dropping the alpha, maybe also prompting you. So very soon, after the Nym token being integrated into the Keplr wallet, we will have one-click Keplr-based payments with Nym tokens for NymVPN, which is really exciting. Right now, it's a bit of a cumbersome process, and of course, Keplr is the exact tool to step in there and improve the UX. So keep an eye on the NymVPN checkout flow, because soon you'll be able to click. Also, by the way, if in case someone doesn't know, for Nym tokens, you get a huge discount on purchasing NymVPN subscriptions.
Huge. I was surprised when I first saw that. Yeah.
We stand by our community. The people who hold our token, in most cases, are OGs. They have been with us since this project launched. So we did say from the get-go that forever, the Nym token will have a substantial discount, and we're standing by that. But with that said, since I dropped my alpha, what do you have for us in store, Josh?
I feel like I've already dropped that in the very beginning, with the whole SVM stuff coming. And then let's see. There's some like interesting things I could drop. I'm sure everyone is just gonna ask for a token, but no, that's not gonna be happening anytime soon. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything that's immediately droppable. I feel like I dropped the alpha a little too early in part of the call. So sorry to
Ladies and gentlemen,
disappoint there.
let's be easy on Josh. He came in, like emptying basically the whole magazine at us at the very beginning. So that's fair. That's fair. I'll take it. But in terms of direction, like future plans for Keplr, where do you go from here? What kind of features are you planning to add? Maybe something along those lines. Also regarding Oko.
Yeah. So for Oko, we're just sort of getting started and in some ways just really trying to catch up to the giants here. So getting access to much more sets of features, a user dashboard to track all of your assets, integrations into more apps and services. So yeah, that's one part. The second part, on some of the things that we've been working on, just been working very diligently on, I think up to now, a lot of just being a good Cosmos wallet. But in the past, year or so, we've been doing a lot of just work trying to be a good all of crypto wallet and beyond. So just making bridging much easier, swapping between tokens easier. That's been a big part. And then, I guess there is an alpha. It's like, I'm sure a lot of people who have used Keplr have noticed, the extensions UI has changed fairly drastically. Looks much cleaner. And yeah, there's going to be a similar update on mobile as well. So it'll look kind of nice and clean like that as well. So
Awesome.
I think coming as soon as, I wouldn't say tomorrow, because releasing new software on Fridays apparently is bad
No.
practice. But but yeah,
That's
hopefully sometime
it's a
next
big
week.
no. That's a
Yeah.
big no.
So
I knew you had something else. I knew I had something else. I just had to
yeah.
pry a little. That's excellent. That's awesome to hear. Any UI simplification is always very welcome. All right. I guess with that, we can jump into the community questions. We got quite a few, so let's
Mhm.
jump straight into it. All right. So this is from Bikram. Our beloved community member. Thanks for the question, Bikram. Josh, would Keplr consider adding a dedicated VPN or privacy category to the DApp list, potentially piloting an NymVPN integration?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to be honest, I think we're even open to just dropping VPN subscriptions to like certain having a draw, lucky draw for like Kepler users to just get free NIM VPNs and things like that. So maybe that's going to be one of those things that we could also work on as our next step.
That's awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Let's stay in touch about that. That sounds
yeah,
like a really cool idea.
yeah.
All right, Bikram, you heard it here first. So stay tuned.
Mhm.
Thanks for the question. Next answer is from Uncle Lem. All right, so to be honest, Josh, there is currently a lot of doomerism in this space. Do you think it's warranted? How do you see the current state and especially the future of the Cosmos ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's I think it's a little bit of doomerism potentially. Well, on some ways, it's also just I think there has been a little bit of like exhaustion of people who've been in this space for such a long time. Do I think it's warranted? I think doomerism is a kind of a negative way of saying it. I think exhaustion, or in some positive way, is just sort of reflecting on or like retrospecting on hey, what have you been doing, and it's like how is that relevant to where crypto is today? I think that's very warranted. You've mentioned this earlier in the call where today we have the existing financial giants coming into crypto, launching ETFs and launching, Stripe is building their own blockchain. They're going to make this financial rails, stable. They're going to be using stable coins for everything. And so on the top side, you have all of this coming. And then on the very bottom side, you sort of have the meme coins and the financial nihilism. And, that's also been taking away a ton of mindshare around that part. So I think just you're always feeling like you're being sandwiched from the giants, but also just like this like nihilistic view of crypto and finance in the world in general. So uh, yeah, so it gets exhausting, but I think how you make that meaningful is you turn that into just like hey, let's think about this. Let's like hey, let's have a retrospect on why do I feel like what have you been doing and for some, maybe it is correct that like they've been spending too much time building things that aren't needed, and launching things that rely too much on just you know they're basically building a solution that doesn't have a problem. But at the same time, I think for some projects and teams, and while they might be exhausted, they also feel like okay, like this is what I've been building for, and it's good to see the market growing. And while it's exhausting, as long as you're building the right sets of product and you have been going at that right market, I think you'd be uh, sort of coming out of this very refreshed and yeah, and yeah,
Man,
I think that's the same for the Cosmos ecosystem. To be very honest, it is kind of exhausting and emotional for me because I have been seeing a lot of people that I've been building alongside with for the past, 4 or 5 years. Just it's like, hey, I have to unfortunately shut down my project, and maybe there were some malicious actors there, maybe some weren't, but like I know for a fact that there's a lot of just very genuine builders who are in Cosmos, where if they cared about money and fame, they'd have so many more chances on some other ecosystem, and the reason why they stuck around was the ethos and their sort of conviction about this like app chain multi-chain interoperability ecosystem. So it is kind of sad to see it, but again, Cosmos has gone through a lot and we've always come out of it stronger than ever. So yeah, I'm still optimistic on things, and I think I have to be optimistic because if some of the people that are building here aren't optimistic, like what is the rest of the community going to feel like? So yeah.
Man, all of that from beginning to the very end came right from my heart as well. Especially the sandwiching that you described. It's such a nice way of putting it. Maybe next time, if I can bring you back for the osmosis conversation, we can also pick this topic up because I love that. Thank you for that answer, and also thanks for a great question, Uncle M, as always. I think the next one is a repetition of Bikram's first question, so I'm just gonna jump straight to Rocio. Hi there, Rocio. Good to see you again. Question to Josh: as a founder, how difficult is it to successfully complete a Web3 project, and how do you take care of your mental health? Greetings from Ecuador.
Um, I mean, I guess it's not easy for sure. So, but I think a key part of it is just you have to feel like there's yeah, as long as you feel like there's meaning behind what you're doing, I think you can get through the ups and downs. Taking care of mental health, I think one, I feel like I have a great team that I work with. I love the Keplr team, and one of the things that we are very set apart from the rest, a lot of companies here is I have team members who've been basically here like 3-4 years. I think our average like tenure at Keplr is like 3+ years at this point. So these are the same sets of people who are not only building alongside me, but also just they're my like support, like emotional support system. So yeah, that's one big part. And also just yeah, just that human relationship is a good safety net to balance out the ups and downs. And, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Very well said. Team is very important, and although I'm no founder, I will add that the big three, which is exercise, sleep, and diet, really helps with mental health, especially when you're in a
Sleep.
crunch. Yes,
Yes.
sleep is a big one.
Sleep.
So don't
Yeah.
don't skip on sleep if you want to feel good. That's very important. Thanks for the great question, and also thanks for the answer, Josh. Next up is from Abdullah. Thanks for the question. Are there any latency or performance trade-offs for users when enabling NIM-powered privacy in Keplr? I don't think that we can enable NIM-powered privacy yet in Keplr. The proxy that we can already use for MetaMask, which is now in NymVPN, has not been tested with Keplr yet. Not sure if it works. You can try. Let us know how it goes. But for the time being, there's no official support. So I can answer this. I think I probably know more about this than you, given the fact that I tested like the MetaMask proxy solution quite thoroughly. When you do things on the blockchain, it's not a lot of data. You're not moving gigabytes of files. It's just a bit of chatter here and there, and also it's not latency sensitive almost at all. So adding the extra hops that the mixnet adds to obfuscate who you are and where your packets are coming from and where they are going is not going to hurt either. So in general, what I saw when I used MetaMask over the mixnet, there was no performance penalty at all. So that's why wallets are one of the best targets for such integrations, because one, it's highly crucial, critical, like mission critical stuff to keep yourself private and your connection secure while you're accessing your wallets, and also because the performance penalty is going to be minimal to non-existent. Thanks for the good question. Anything to add there, Josh? Sorry for ranting.
No, that was very good insight. Yeah, and absolutely correct.
All right. Next up is also from Rocio. Question today on the 28th of January is Data Privacy Day. I forgot. Damn, how do I forget?
Did not know that. Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. What is your message for data privacy?
I feel like there's coming back to the whole, there's a lot of like doomerism in crypto. I think privacy is one of those things that you just can't be doomerist about. And I think that's one of those things where like, okay, a lot of other people building other things are very doomerism kind of vibe, but this is like one of the last bastions of crypto that I think you can have a meaningful amount of impact in the world. So yeah, it's one that it's good to see that, and then two is um it feels really cool that I think crypto and privacy has always been this thing that has sit side by side. But it's starting to feel very usable now. Like whereas 3-4 years ago it was just like you really had to. It was a big effort to use some of these apps, and today that's not the case. So um, yeah, that's a lot of strides were made, and that's really exciting.
Yes. I'd like to think that NymVPN is one of the prime examples of that because mixed
Yeah.
nets were first theorized in 1982, as discussed in the previous community call. And by the time they became like technically feasible, like we had the actual computing power to achieve a mixed net, and actually the first real world implementation happened. Took a while, but actually NymVPN can be considered that first like real world use case, which is in people's hands, hidden behind a very simple UI. Yet, it's some really advanced privacy tech. I will also have to answer this question. The message on Data Privacy Day: data privacy is under attack in ways in late 2025 and also in 26, and I think going forward, which it hasn't been, I think, basically ever globally. It's also making strides which it never has. So as Josh mentioned, not only just NymVPN, but there are a bunch of other great examples of privacy preserving technologies which are just coming out and being released. And also on the dark note of privacy being under attack, that also means that it's increasingly becoming very important, and we see it from all the privacy focused communities that they are growing. They're seeing growth which they've never seen before. So my message is that our movement is growing, and it's not going anywhere, especially now that it's becoming absolutely crucial. It's not just even in the West now, where we enjoyed a bunch of privileges, such as not having to worry too much about privacy, at least in our day-to-day lives. The fact that this seems to be changing also means that more and more people become aware of this problem, start to pay attention, and our movement is growing. So I know for a fact that in 26 it's going to be the biggest it's ever been, and going forward it's just going to keep growing, and that means that we will have a much better shot at achieving our objectives as well. So next question, or do you want to add something?
No, that was a great answer.
All right. Thanks for the great question, Rocio. Next one is from Dryader. As someone who likes the idea of a VPN, but the worldwide problem of it being detected, exit nodes in theory being blocked, etc., are there any plans to combat work around these issues? I guess this is also, I'm just going to quickly address it. We do have censorship resistance in NymVPN. This is always going to be a cat and mouse game. So you release certain censorship resistance measures, you develop them, release them, and then the powers that be get develop countermeasures, and then you have to develop countermeasures. That's how it goes. But it is going to be a centerpiece of NymVPN's roadmap, I think, for probably forever. To make sure that it is as usable as possible in all the regions of the world, especially where it's needed the most, which is the most censored regions in most cases. So that's one thing. The other thing that is that you probably heard about if you've kept an eye on our chats to any extent of time, the question both from the community and the team comes up of residential IPs. That's also a great way of basically hiding from an outsider's perspective, that this is a VPN connection. It is something that we're discussing quite heavily internally, and as soon as we can, we're also going to be adding residential IPs to NymVPN, which should also help with censorship. It is a multifaceted problem with a complicated solution, but we are going to be working around the constrained environment that we have. All right. Next up, this one is finally for you. I think it's a good one. I'm actually super interested in the answer to this one. So Jason is asking, how does Keplr prevent scams? I feel it has more protection features than Trust or MetaMask.
Yeah, I mean, it we can't prevent everything, but we try our best. I also monitor like the support email as well, and sometimes hearing news about it's like, yeah, I accidentally went to this website and my money got drained. That's like always one of the most like heartbreaking things to hear when you're building a product. Yeah, but for us, it's a multifaceted issue. One is just making a lot of UX sort of foolproof in the sense that I think there's a lot of good security measures in theory versus in reality. So, for some users, it's like secret passphrase, right? Like the whole 12-word, 24-word thing is, it sounds good in theory, but it actually could just be more dangerous for users to access it. So if you don't know what you're doing, or like that's why we've added, we're building solutions like Oko or just log in with Google. So you're just like not having to worry about this, and you won't ever have to paste this 12 words anywhere else. Another thing is we always have a list of websites that we monitor to make sure that like that's if you have Keplr installed and you're going to these website, we tell you it's like, hey, FYI, this is a known scam website. Be careful. And then another thing is, we're one of the few teams that, while we still have a small team, we have a team member that's like actively monitoring the help desk, answer any questions. So there's always like there's an actual person to just sort of ask about things if there are questions or things go wrong. That being said, I want to emphasize that I have a lot of MetaMask. I have a lot of respect for MetaMask because they're also one of those pioneers in making sure that they push the boundaries of like crypto wallet security. Like Taylor Monahan, I think she's part of the MetaMask team, and she's always, working endlessly to ensure that, one, we reduce the number of scams there are, but also, if someone did get hacked, she does a lot of work to just track things down and help recover as much as possible. So, less familiar on how trust deals with this, but I do feel like MetaMask also has put a lot of effort to making sure scams are prevented as well. So, I want to do a shout out for them for sure.
But in general, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be very careful. So there's only so much a wallet can do. Be very careful with the links that you click. Be very careful with your Telegram conversations, especially, and just stay safe out there. Because I really love your point about the mnemonic being this double-edged sword, right? It sounds nice in practice, but it gives you like actual godlike control on that wallet. It's actually your private key. So if someone else has it, then there's no changing it. There's no I forgot my password. It's gone. So that's a different way of looking at it, and it's a double-edged sword, right? So it gives you total control, but it means that anybody else who has total control will also have total, or that has access to it will also have total control. Thanks for the great question, and thank you for the answer. Next up is from Anderson. Thanks for the question. Would Oko replace Keplr wallet in the future?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think, it depends how far into the future. I think, 10, like 5-10 years down the road, very likely potentially, but next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I highly doubt it. I think um it is, it is two products that are aimed at different types of users. And, for people like me personally, I actually find the Kepler experience just much more easier and better UX for me compared to just Oko because I know what I'm doing. And I think it's fairly easy to get to, learn. But if you don't know what you're doing, I absolutely think Oko is a much better experience. And I think this will sort of converge where Oko gets more powerful, easier to use, but accessible in more places. But Kepler also is easier. So yeah, I think it's sort of catering to two different sets of users. But further down the road, yeah, I think the idea of having to download a wallet will sadly no longer be the case, and we'll all be happy. So yeah,
And
we've
we'll own nothing.
successfully killed the product, and that's a success. So yeah, or
We'll
our,
all be
our first,
happy.
yeah,
We'll all be happy, and we'll own nothing as well. That's
yeah,
also a really favorite quote of mine. Look, I know that you wanted to leave on 45, but is it possible to answer one more question? Because I know.
yeah.
All right, this is the last one. I know who's asking this. I know this person, and they're also, by the way, a Bad Kids connoisseur, just like
Yeah,
yourself.
nice to
So
meet you.
Ponfu is asking, hey Josh, big fan of Keplr. Question: the bridge ecosystem feels pretty fragmented right now. Any plans for
Yes.
Keplr to simplify bridging natively, or are you mostly relying on Skip?
Yes. So this is an excellent question, and this is sort of what I meant by, we spent a lot of part of the first few years of Kepler trying to be an excellent Cosmos wallet, an excellent IBC wallet. And more recently, we're realizing it's like, oh, there's actually going to be a lot more bridging needs to coming in and out of Cosmos. And this is a much more challenging question, a challenging problem for us to solve. So, um, right now, yeah. So I'm personally just internally pushing for a lot more efforts to making sure moving assets in and out of uh, Kepler in and out of various ecosystems just much easier. Um, Not just moving assets in between the same ecosystem. And yeah, on the whole, relying on scripting, we actually haven't made the public announcement for this. I think this will go live like tomorrow, but so there's another alpha. We have actually integrated Squid as well, which I have found actually does a better job for more, you know, across ecosystem type uh, bridging and swapping. So we spent a good part of the last month refactoring a lot of our bridging code and swap code. And yeah, so we're absolutely working on more integrations here. We had Skip, we have Squid now. It's actually live. We just haven't made the announcement. So and then we're discussing to a lot more partners to making sure that we can now bridge to, hey, if you want to get Bitcoin to USDC, you can, or someday hopefully like something like Zcash, or like just if you have ETH on base and then you just want to buy Nym, you can. So but yeah, we're definitely working on this.
Awesome. Music to my ears. Also, thanks for the answer. And I think alpha wise, this was our most successful or most fruitful, I should say, community call we've ever had. So
Yeah.
again, I have to double down on the scoring I gave you previously. It's definitely a 10 out of 10 as far as guests go, especially from the uh, from the alpha perspective, but also just
Yeah.
in general. I would love to have you back for that osmosis conversation, and maybe a bit more about the state of crypto and like a bit more broad conversation. But uh, being mindful of your time, I'm going to let you go. We're going to do a bit of a quiz after this one. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on. Big thanks for coming on. It was lovely to find out about the roots, and specifics of Keplr, and to pick your mind a little bit. Any closing remarks for the Nym community before you go?
No, let me think. Uh, I think Nym is extra special in the fact that I think it's a shining example of what an app chain should be, and it's a shining example of a blockchain that has a very clear use case, and a team that genuinely cares about the product that they're building, um, and also a product that's actually very usable and good to use and competitive to the existing product solution. So um, for me, that was just very cool. And yeah, I think the community can be very proud of that. And um, yeah, I'm a very happy user now. I think I converted end of last year, and it's been a very good experience. So yeah, thanks for having me and making me a part of the community and having the chat. Yeah, chance to talk and stuff. Yeah,
Big thanks for the kind words. Right back at you, and hopefully see you next time, Josh. It was a pleasure to have you on.
absolutely. Thank you.
See you next time. Bye bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Josh from Keplr. I know I did. It was absolutely excellent. So thanks again to Josh for coming on, and stay tuned for the next episode with the chat with Josh. And now, what I think many of you have been waiting for, we can get started with the games. Wait, let me quickly give a thumb through to the questions. Maybe you have some questions that I should be answering. Okay, no, I can't see any. You can still leave any questions that you have for me. Happy to answer them. But now it's time. Hopefully, you have your pencil sharpened. Let's jump right into it. Game time, ladies and gentlemen. Game time. All right. So it's very exciting. Very exciting. I can't wait to see who is gonna be doing the heavy lifting here. So warm up your fingers, warm up your all your typing apparatus, because the first answer wins. Actually, maybe I should go over the rules, right? The first answer wins, except when not, because I make the rules and I make exceptions sometimes, quite randomly. The first correct answer wins, and the person who gets the most correct answers is declared the winner of today's game time, and it's a very prestigious thing. So if it happens to you, that means you are in the top 0.1% of humanity in more ways than one. So it's I think it's probably more prestigious than a Nobel Prize. So yeah, no pressure though, and good luck everyone. All right, first question. Are we ready? Let's go. Which observer is best positioned to link your home IP to a specific website when you use a single hop VPN? Repeating the question. Which observer is best positioned to link your home IP to a specific website when you use a single hop VPN? All right. Options are A, the destination website only, B, your ISP only, C, the VPN provider only, D, anyone, AS on the path only, no one can. All right, there are more than the usual options here. There's 5 actually, so we're making it a bit more difficult for you guys. Let me repeat the options. So, A, the destination website only, B, your ISP only, C, the VPN provider only, D, anyone as on the path only, E, no one can. All right, I see the answers rolling in. I see a D as the first from Rustam, C from user, B. All right. But which one could be the correct answer? Drum roll, please. I see a C for Casey. But is it correct? Drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the correct answer is C, the VPN provider only. This is why NymVPN, even in its more basic, let's put it that way, more basic mode, has 2 hops, right? Your connection is encrypted twice. It puts a tunnel into a tunnel. And with this, between the 2 nodes, where your packets or where your communications are going is dissociated from you, and from the node that you're connecting to, right? So one node only sees what is happening, right? Which websites are being accessed, what you're communicating with, but has no idea about you and your IP address or anything. The other node sees an IP address connecting to it, but has no idea what that IP address is doing through it. This is exactly why 2-hop is very important. And the winner, let me see who had the first C in chat. The winner is user QL6IO5WI3S. That's the full name. Now, I'm not going to read it again, okay? I'm repeating questions, but not this name. Congratulations. Excellent. Very quick as well. So congrats. Let's move on to the next question. Are we ready? Question 2. Name one early 1990s concept or system associated with CHOM that predates mainstream cryptocurrency narratives. Question again. Name one early 90s concept or system associated with CHOM that predates mainstream cryptocurrency narratives. David Chaum is also the inventor of mixnets. He wrote the original mixnet paper as discussed in a previous community call. All right, are we ready for options? Oh, damn it! I revealed it. I thought it was a multiple choice. I think I can't count this one in. Unfortunately, I made a mistake here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so maybe then let's go through the answer then. All right. Again, sorry for messing up, ladies and gents. The answer is DigiCash, eCash. So actually, way before the Bitcoin times, right? This was way before the Bitcoin paper, which ended up providing the foundations for the whole crypto space, right? In 2008, in the 90s, he already created DigiCash. It ended up failing, but that was because the problem. What is the problem called that the Bitcoin solved? I can't remember. I can't remember. Someone help me out in chat. Anyways, yeah, some additional theory was necessary to solve the digital cash problem, which Bitcoin ended up doing. But Chom already tried, seeing how important of a problem it was in the 90s. All right, question 3. This time I'm not gonna mess up, I promise. Are we ready? Let's go. Which pairing is historically accurate? So, which pairing is historically accurate? Chom, PGP, Zimmerman, PGP, Diffie-Hellman, Mixnets, Rivest, Shamir, Alderman, Remailers, or Dijkstra, onion routing. Options again: A, Chom, PGP, B, Zimmerman, PGP, C, Diffie-Hellman, Mixnets, D, Rivest, Shamir, Alderman, Remailers, or E, Dijkstra, onion routing. Which is the correct pairing? All right, I see answers rolling in already. All right, I see some C's, I see a D, I see an A, but which one could be the correct? I'll give you some more time to answer. Lots of A's rolling in. All right. Are we ready for a drum roll, ladies and gentlemen? The answer is Zimmerman, PGP. This was actually also the reason PGP, pretty good privacy, is what it stands for. I believe it was 95 when it was released, and this was why Phil Zimmerman was indicted, I believe. So there was a criminal case against him for using using cryptography in unwanted ways, because back then, before, of course, the groundbreaking activism of the cypherpunk movement, cryptography was illegal, right? It was a pretty serious offense to use cryptography, and Zimmerman had to answer in front of court for why he developed the technology that used cryptography. So yeah, Zimmerman, the still widely used PGP, which also made the Snowden leaks possible, by the way. So the Snowden the leaked documents were leaked via PGP to the journalists Snowden contacted, and I'm pretty sure that in many other contexts, PGP as an encryption protocol is still being used for secure communications. OG privacy technology, if there ever was one. All right, but this seemed to be a bit tricky. I see a lot of A's and C's from everyone. So who was the first correct answer? Drum roll, please. Who's the winner here? Diana, congratulations. Yours was the first correct answer with B. So you won this round. Excellent stuff. All right, last question. Which best describes the cypherpunk ethos? We mentioned cypherpunks before. Hopefully by now, if you've been participating in these calls, then you know who they are very well. So which best describes the cypherpunk ethos? Let's see the options. Privacy through policy. B, privacy through cryptography. C, privacy through obscurity. D, privacy through centralization. I'll repeat the options. A, privacy through policy. B, privacy through cryptography. C, privacy through obscurity. Or D, privacy through centralization. Which one was it, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to give you some time to answer. Let me see the answers rolling in. Oh, wait, no, I just need to scroll down, I guess. Oh, yeah, okay, there are the answers. All right, so I see a bunch of C's, bunch of B's. Which is the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen? Are you ready? The big reveal, drum roll. Privacy through cryptography. That's why the cypherpunk movement is called cypherpunk, right? The cipher is a secret message in the field of cryptography. Most, if not all, of the cypherpunks were cryptographers. The other important part of the cypherpunk ethos, which they voiced many times, the big OG cypherpunks, is that cypherpunks write code, right? They were also programmers, but fundamentally, the idea of cypherpunk is to ensure certain human rights in code via privacy, and would this equalize the playing field between the most powerful people, such as governments and government organizations, or very powerful and rich corporations, individuals, whatever it may be, and on the other side, you, an individual with sometimes often limited resources. The playing field should be equal, right? If I have an encrypted message, if the encryption is good, then no matter if you're a government, no matter if you're a very rich and powerful individual, it will take you. If I don't give you the keys, if I don't want you to know this information, then it will take you, many millions of years to crack it via conventional brute forcing means. So, yeah, that was the core ethos of the cypherpunks, and cryptography was at the very center of it, or still is, I should say. I'm not sure why I'm speaking in past phase. All right, but who was the first to answer correctly? Ladies and gentlemen, I see a very, very fast answer already here up top. Lightning Hands Gonjor was the first one to answer correctly, so congratulations. I guess we had a different winner for every single question. I don't know what to do then. Salazar, help me out here. What should we do? Everybody won? Select two? That would be difficult. Everybody answered correctly. You know what? I make the rules. What I'm saying, or what my decision is that everybody won. Excellent work, everyone. So congratulations to the winners. And that brings us to the end of this community call. This was the first time. We had a guest on. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, community calls sometimes will have guests. Sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what's going on with my connection today. So hopefully you enjoyed this community call. As I mentioned on the first one in this new format, we're sometimes going to have guests, whether from Nym or from outside of Nym, whenever we have something to talk about with a guest. But otherwise, you're just going to have to deal with me and listen to me blabbering on for an hour. Big thanks for everyone for participating. I've had a blast. Big thanks again to Josh if you're watching. I can't wait to have you back for the osmosis related conversation. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Make sure to drop us a like, to feed the algorithm. And oh yeah, the POAP. Oh, thanks for the reminder, Sal. I almost forgot. Wow, super out of it today. Another big reveal for this call. As always, Q&A has already happened. As always, we will have a POAP for you guys. You need to go to nym.com/go/POAP to claim your POAP. The secret phrase for today is trade, swap, stake, which of course are things that you can all do from the Keplr wallet. So hopefully you enjoy this community call. I'm going to wrap up here. Drop us a like, leave a comment, all of that good stuff to feed the YouTube algorithm, and see you next week back on the regular schedule. So we're going to be doing the community call on Thursday. Until further notice, that's the usual time. Oh, and lastly, I will mention again, I'll remind you guys that if you want to decide my next background, which is beautiful, so thanks again for this background to Rustam, which is absolutely beautiful. If you want to decide my background, or you want to propose segments, or maybe for the news roundup, you want to propose some stories, then make sure to jump on the Nym forum and look for the thread where we'll discuss the ideas thread for the next community call. Much love, everyone.